Okay, we'll start with fixed exchange rate system. So here we go. A fixed exchange. Yeah, one doubt, that person is not there, right? Bude Sab. He asked me about that unstable exchange rate system. Okay, we'll wait for him to join. Only then I'll clear that doubt. Okay, till then we'll look at it. Yes, fixed exchange rate system. So, as I've just said earlier in my earlier class, a fixed exchange rate system is under the control of government and it does not change. It does not vary frequently. It remains fixed for a longer time until and unless the government intervenes and change the exchange rate system. Right? So it does not change with the market. Right? Is this point clear? I've explained this in the last class.
Yeah, clear now.
Yes. So a fixed exchange rate system is an exchange rate that does not fluctuate, right? Or that changes within a predetermined rate at infrequent intervals, right? So government or the central monetary authority intervenes in the foreign exchange market so that the exchange rate are kept fixed at a stable rate. So you need to underline these keywords. It does not fluctuate. And then you can say the government or central, these things you can underline, or central monetary authority intervenes to keep this exchange rate stable. There is a stability, we can say stable. This the rate at which the currency is fixed is called per value. Par value. This par value is allowed to move in a narrow range or band of plus or minus 1%. So there is always in economics, this range. Even when we look at the fiscal deficit and all, they give you the range like this, plus or minus 1 or 2 or 3%, but they never give you the fixed percent, right? Because this is because there's nothing stable as such. There's nothing fixed in the economy. In economy the numbers keeps varying, so that's why always a band is given. Okay, a range is given here. The rate at which the currency is fixed is called par value. This par value is allowed to move in a narrow range or a band of plus or minus 1%. So as I've just said, there is nothing fixed number as such. Always we get a range in economics. There's nothing constant number as such in economy. The number keeps varying and that's why this range is given, right? Is this point clear?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Priyanka, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Someone is recording your class. Who is that?
Actually, this is me myself. For the first time, I thought of just recording and seeing if I can make any improvement in my.
Acha, okay. Then it's okay, no problem. Okay, because students are not supposed to record it.
Yeah, I have done it for this first time. I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Carry on. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we'll look at this. If the sum of current and capital account is negative, there occurs an excess supply of domestic currency in the world market. So if the sum of current and capital account is negative, I've told you about these two accounts, right? You all remember this? Current and capital account? Current and capital account. Where did we discuss this? Can anyone tell me? Yes, please respond.
In the balance of payment.
Balance of payment, right? So we have seen two types of accounts there, that is current and capital account. So now here I want to ask one question. Yes, what is the difference between balance of trade and balance of payment? We have already learned about this. Yes, turn your pages and tell me the answer for this.
Balance of payment is the exports increase rather import. So the
Yes, go on. Anyone else? Can anyone else give me the answer for this? See, I've clearly told you all this balance of payment. I've drawn two circles, if you all remember. Your circle draw Madid there. I've said that this balance of payment is a wider concept, and then balance of trade is a narrow concept, right? You will
yeah.
remember balance of trade is a circle within a balance of payment, and this balance of payment, a trade, is just one part of current account, and it does not include capital account at all. Whereas balance of payment is a very wide concept, a wider concept, which includes both this current and capital account, right? So this is
Yeah.
clear.
Yes.
Okay, next time if I ask this, you all should be able to answer this. This point should be very clear. It is very simple. You all can remember this with these two circles, right? So if the sum of current and capital account is negative, there occurs an excess supply of domestic currency in the world market. The government then intervenes using official foreign exchange reserves to purchase domestic currency. So you all know what is this foreign exchange reserves. This point also I've discussed in my earlier classes. Yes, can anyone tell me foreign exchange reserves? At least in the context of India, if you can tell me one or two points. Yes, so we have discussed this foreign exchange reserves. This is actually a reserve of foreign currency with a country, right? You all don't remember this foreign exchange reserve? We have discussed about this reserve which is
Yeah.
holding foreign currencies like dollar, renminbi, yen,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
pound, euro, all these currencies together
Yeah.
constitute a foreign exchange reserves of a country. And India
Yes.
has got very good foreign exchange reserve right now. I mean, since some years, this foreign exchange reserve has been increasing, okay, consistently. So this is a very good sign for India economically. Okay, so the government then intervenes using official foreign exchange reserves to purchase domestic currency. So government is intervening and it will use this money, what it is holding in its reserve, to purchase domestic currency. It can purchase it from the foreign market the international market, right? So the fixed or a pegged exchange rate can be explained graphically. Let us suppose that India's demand for US goods rises. This increased demand for imports causes an increase in the supply of domestic currency. Rupee in the exchange rate. Okay, so Budde Saab is here. We can clear his doubt. Hello. Budde Saab. ನಿಮ್ ಡೌಟ್ ನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಡೌಟ್. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ ಡೌಟ್ ನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 10 minutes is for you. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Okay. We'll resume with this. The fixed or a pegged exchange rate can be explained graphically. So yeah, here you'll get two graphs, one each for a fixed and flexible exchange rate, right? This is again very important. You need to draw a graph. This will fetch you very good marks. So fixed or a peg exchange rate can be explained graphically. Let us suppose that India's demand for US goods rises. So if the demand for US goods is rising, that means the imports will increase, right? This increased demand for imports causes an increase in the supply of domestic currency. So therefore our money will go to US. The domestic money will go to US, right? The supply of domestic currency rupees in exchange market to obtain US dollar, right? Let demand and supply be the demand and supply curve. Okay, DD and SS are demand and supply curve. So this thing you should note, underline it. Idhan underline ಮಾಡಿ. Demand and supply curve of dollar. This is very common. Idu last, starting since when I've started with my classes, ಇದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. So this is how you represent, right? Demand and supply curve. Demand is always with the symbol DT. Supply na SS anta represent ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, the supply curve of dollar and figure. The below figure you will get one. These two curves. Okay, let me show this in the figure itself. Yeah, here you have demand curve. This is your demand curve, DT. DD, SS, SS. Right? This point is clear. You can see. And can anyone tell me why is this shape like this? Why is the demand curve downward sloping? Yes? It ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. In your first sem, I've explained. If Bhavata is here, I think Bhavata is there. Bhavata? Yes, Bhavata, can you give me answer for this? Why is demand curve sloping downwards? So this point should be clear that demand curve will always slope downwards and supply curve is upwards. And this is because there is an inverse relationship between the quantity and the rate, or the price, we can say. Earlier we had discussed about price. Instead of exchange rate, we had discussed like price and quantity. Price on y-axis and quantity was on x-axis. So in place of price, you can also take exchange rate. That is not an issue. And because the relationship between this price and quantity, or exchange rate and quantity, is inverse, that is, if one is increasing, the other one, if one is increasing, the other one will fall, right? So, and therefore this curve is always downwards. Demand curve will always be downwards, except for some rare cases. So there are exceptions for it, but generally the curve is downwards. Okay, and we've also discussed the exceptions in our first semester. I've explained you all what are those exceptions and all, right? The supply curve is this upward. Okay, let us go back to this now. Yeah, we were here. These two curves intersects at point A. So they are intersecting at point A here. Here you can see the DD curve and the SS curve. This DD curve and this SS curve. this curve, these both are intersecting at this point A, right? This point. Two curves intersect at point A, and the corresponding exchange rate is 40 rupees is equal to $1. So here they've taken exchange rate as $1 is equal to 40 rupees, right? Consequently, the supply curve shifts to S1, S1. So now if there is a change in the supply, then the curve of supply will also change. Now we shall see this in the graph. So you all can see, observe ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, supply curve change ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, SS ಇಂದ S1, S1 ಗೆ, right? So supply change ಆದಂಗೆ supply curve ಕೂಡ change ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, right? And cuts the demand curve at point B. So it is cutting this demand, the earlier demand you can see. The old demand curve ge cut agutte at point B. So you can see the old demand curve. DD is the old demand curve. And this S1 is the new supply curve. So these both are intersecting. Il bandu intersect agta ide B point here, right? Then this means a fall in the exchange rate. So you all can see, if the supply is going down, the supply curve is moving downwards, then you can see there is a fall in exchange rate. Where will you see the exchange rate? Here on the y-axis. Y-axis ಅಲ್ಲಿ exchange rate ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So earlier ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು exchange rate? Point A ಈ ಲೈನ್ ನ y ಗೆ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ you get 40, right? 40 ಇತ್ತು exchange rate. But now supply curve change ಆದಂಗೆ ನಿಮ್ದು exchange rate ಕೂಡ fall ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So if you join this B point with Y, that is exchange rate, it will be somewhere here. I think, yeah, we are right. 30 will be your exchange rate. So you can see it has fallen, right, from 40 to 30. So to prevent this exchange rate from falling, the Reserve Bank of India. So you all must be aware, Reserve Bank of India is our central bank. Our central bank's name is Reserve Bank of India, that is RBI in short. Will now demand more rupees in exchange for US dollar. So this will demand more rupee. The exchange rate is falling. That means rupee value will go down, and therefore they will ask for more rupee for $1. Like earlier example, to give you like an example, initially starting al nimdu iddittu exchange rate 40 rupees is equal to $1. Now after falling, say you have 30 rupees per $1, right? Nodidira idanna graph alli 30 rupees per $1, right? This is rupees and this is your dollar. So this is how this exchange rate has fallen. Will now demand more rupees in exchange for US dollar. This will restrict the excess supply of rupee, and there'll be an upward pressure in the exchange rate. Demand curve will now shift to D1, D1. So there'll be a pressure at this point for exchange rate to move up. Therefore, demand curve will shift upwards. Demand curve will shift upwards to D1, D1. We'll get a new demand curve, and this new supply curve will intersect with new demand curve at point C. And you can see again we have come back to the original exchange rate, right? Offered okay, demand curve will shift to D1. The end result is the restoration of old exchange rate at point C. So we've got the old exchange rate with this. This is a fixed exchange rate system. Thus, it is clear that the maintenance of fixed exchange rate system requires that foreign exchange reserves are sufficiently available. So we need good foreign exchange reserves to make all these changes in our we need good foreign exchange reserves to make changes in our foreign exchange rates, right? So whenever a country experiences inadequate foreign exchange reserve, it won't be able to purchase domestic currency in sufficient quantity. So this was a situation India had faced during the time of 1990, right? If you all remember this crisis, financial crisis, 1990, India had faced one crisis. ಅವಾಗ ನಮ್ದು foreign exchange reserve ತುಂಬಾ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬೀಳ್ತಿತ್ತು. We had very less foreign exchange reserve. I mean, it was just, I think we had foreign exchange reserve to buy just 2 or 3 months of our imports. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇತ್ತು. So that time we had gone to IMF seeking help from IMF. And then I've told this earlier also, I think. IMF, we went to this IMF to seek help for money. Then IMF had given three conditions. ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಇವರು. ಈ 3 conditions ನಾವು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇವರು ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಂತ. So those 3 were LPG: liberalization, privatization, and globalization, what we are seeing now in India. It is the consequence of this crisis. Because of this crisis, we had to take these conditions from IMF, and because of these conditions, we changed our economy. Our economy structure now changed. There were a lot of changes in our economy. We moved to this globalization. This is the reason today, our foreign trade is more. Imports and exports both are too high in India. So whenever a country experiences inadequate foreign exchange reserve, it won't be able to purchase domestic currency in sufficient quantities. Under the circumstance, the country will devalue its currency. So see, we've discussed this point. You all remember this devalue ಬಗ್ಗೆ again balance of payment ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು discuss ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ devalue. If you all remember, there was devalue ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು point ಇತ್ತು in very similar to devalue. Can anyone tell me? devalue ತರ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತು devalue, balance of payment ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ discuss ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು devalue. And then we had depreciation, right? Depreciation. And I have said, so what is the difference? I want you all to speak, if anyone can tell me. Devalue, depreciational difference. So devalue is under fixed exchange rate system, as we are discussing here. This is the reason we're discussing about devalue under fixed exchange rate system, right? Under fixed exchange rate system, we go for devaluation of currency. Whereas under flexible exchange rate system alli enaguttandre adu currency automatic agi fall agutte. That is called as currency value automatic agi fall agutte. So that is called as depreciation. Depreciation andre adu flexible exchange rate il barutte, and this is like automatic falling of value of money. Devalue andre wantedly, we are like knowingly a government is doing this, reducing the value of its money in order to promote exports. So when we reduce the value of our country, ಏನಗುತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ದು goods ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೀಪ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಚೀಪ್ ಆದಾಗ ನಮ್ದು ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆರ್ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್. ಸೊ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್, so you can see the value of money is falling and therefore demand will increase, and if demand increases then exports will increase. See, you must understand this link between all these things. Value of money, rupee, decreases, demand increases, as a result exports increases, and then our foreign exchange reserve, forex increases, foreign exchange reserve. Forex will increase. Please make a note of it. Value decreases, demand increases, exports increases, and therefore forex increases, which is very good for economy. We can solve the problem of balance of payment and all with this, right? Idu note ಮಾಡಿ. Devalue andre fixed ಅಲ್ಲಿ, depreciation andre flexible ಅಲ್ಲಿ, and these things, these links should be clear, right? Thus, devaluation means an official reduction in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. So we're running short of time. Just 10 more minutes. Okay. Means an official reduction. So devaluation is an official reduction which is done by government in the value of one currency in terms of another currency. That is rupee to dollar and dollar to rupee, we can say. Right? Is this point clear? Any doubts so far? Yes, any doubts? So we've discussed this concept of like a fixed exchange rate system with a diagram, with a graph. I think we'll discuss about the advantage matte disadvantage na next class allo odana. Advantage, disadvantages of fixed exchange rate. Any doubts? If you have, you can ask me.
Hello, ma'am.
Huh. Yes.
Ma'am, your fixed exchange rates ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ,
Huh.
demand and supply will influence on that or not?
Demand and supply will influence under flexible exchange. Fixed ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈನ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ದು ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ನೇಷನ್, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ನ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಏನೋ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡೆ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಂತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ ಇರುತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಸ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬುಡೇ ಸಾಬ್ದು ಡೌಟ್ ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನೀವು ನಿನ್ನೆ ನಿಮ್ ಇದು ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ನ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಸೂಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ. ಸೊ that is the problem. So unstable, yeah, it's right. Unstable is another name of flexible. English alli idu ella meaning same, words different but meaning same. Flexible andru onde, unstable andre adu stable iralla, change agta irutte. Flexible andre ade change agodu, right? So yeah, the another name for flexible exchange rate ge ಇನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ ಹೆಸರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ರೇಟ್, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ನೇಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್. ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎನಿವನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ? ಯು ಆಲ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಿಸ್? Flexible, there was one more name for this. Flexible is also called as
Fluctuate.
no, floating. Here it is, floating
Okay.
one, right? Floating exchange rate system. Here it is, floating exchange rate system. So there are three names given to flexible exchange rate. So one is flexible itself, the other one is floating. It is also called a floating exchange rate. The other one is unstable exchange rate system. So all these are nothing but the same. Right? Putesa point clear? Doubt clear nimdu? Unstable ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಇನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಹೆಸರು. Just ಇನ್ನ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. But meaning same. ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ದು ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಒಂದೇ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಒಂದೇ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಫ್ಲೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಒಂದೇ. ಫ್ಲೋಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಫ್ಲೋಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಒಂದೇ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ. ಅದು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ವೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ರೇರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗೋದು. ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಹೇಗ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ರೇಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ತುಂಬಾ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಹೇಗ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ? ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿದೀನಲ್ವಾ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್. ನೋಡಿ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ರೇಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ರೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೇಳೋದು. ಇನ್ನ ನಾನು ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಈ ತರನೇ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ದು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಎರಡಕ್ಕೂ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್. ಸೊ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ದು. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಬರೀರಿ, ಅವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಬರೀರಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನಾನೀಗ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಬೇಡ ನೀವು ಬರೆಯೋದು. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್, but you can just like give this graph and 1 or 2 line first under fixed exchange rate, like this. Yes, the first para. Yes, first para till I think till here also if you write, this is enough. Stable rate vargu baradru agutte. Or if you want to like increase this to one more line, then yeah, first para you can write, and then after you can move to this graph bardu ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ explain ಮಾಡಿ graph na. This is very important, explanation. ಈ terms ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನೇನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಎಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ಕರ್ವ್, ಎಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಕರ್ವ್, ಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಕರ್ವ್ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, this is A andre equilibrium point, B is the again equilibrium point. Y curve ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ, Y curve is representing exchange rate, then X curve is representing the quantity of foreign currency. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಇದು ಬರ್ದಾದಾಗ ನೀವು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸ್ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ಬರೀರಿ, ಗುಣ ಮತ್ತೆ ದೋಷಗಳು, ರೈಟ್? So we'll discuss about this advantage and disadvantage in the next class. I think for today the time is up. Right? Next class, disadvantage, disadvantage, and then after we'll move to flexible exchange rate system. Okay, any doubts? Any more doubts? Yes? That's it? Then we'll stop here. We shall meet in the next class.